Meeting is called to order. I don't think we have any electronic participation by a school board member. A pledge of allegiance, Mr. Connor.
You stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Next is approval of agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
What's your amendment?
I'd like to amend the agenda because we have more than 30 minutes of speakers tonight. And I'd like to give everybody an opportunity to speak, so I'd like to extend it to 45 minutes. However, I'd like to limit it to 3 minutes for all participants so everybody will get a voice. So I want to extend it to 45 minutes and then limit each speaker to 3 minutes.
That's what we normally limit it to, correct?
Yeah, but organizations get 5 minutes. But if organizations all speak, then we'll be over an hour.
Gotcha.
So I would like to extend it to 45 minutes, but limit all speakers to 3 minutes.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'd like to second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Barron,
Yes.
Mr. Alain,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Dr. Gupta,
Yes.
Mr. DePaul,
Yes.
Mr. Farmer.
Yes.
So there's an amended agenda on the table. Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Motion?
Second.
Would you please call the roll, ma'am?
Mr. Barron,
Yes.
Mr. Alain,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Dr. Gupta,
Yes.
Mr. DePaul, Mr. Farmer. Motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Poe.
Mr. Poe, yes.
What did I say?
Mr. Farmer, it's all good.
Thank you, Mr.
He's
Poe.
doing election duty. Thank you. Next one is special presentation, Dr. Midget, Computer Science Scholarship.
All right. Good evening. I'd like to have Dawn Wise with the Education Foundation come forward and give her presentation.
Chairperson Gupta, Vice Chair Connor, and school board members, good evening. My name is Dawn Wise, and I'm the Executive Director of the Lynchburg City Schools Education Foundation. I am so excited to be here to announce the 2026 Lynchburg City Schools Computer Science Scholarship recipient. I'd like to begin by sharing a little bit about the generosity that made this scholarship possible. In December 2023, longtime Education Foundation supporter Linda Carr, along with her husband Clarence James, made an extraordinary $100,000 gift to the foundation. Their contribution established two meaningful funds, the Vivian Carr Miller Excellence Through Education Fund and the Carr James Family Community Service Fund. These funds are already making a real difference, helping remove barriers to learning, supporting students' basic and hygiene needs, and strengthening connections between our schools and families across Lynchburg. They reflect a belief that when we invest in students, we are also investing in the health and future of our entire community. For Linda and her sister Vivian, service has always been a core value, one rooted in family and carried forward in the many ways they continue to give back. At this time, I'd like to invite Vivian Miller to share a few words and speak more about the inspiration behind these funds.
Good evening. I would just like to say on behalf of my family, especially my sister Linda Carr James and her husband Clarence James, that we are just so proud of her and her family and her accomplishments. And she has worked hard. She is a product of Lynchburg City Schools. We have 5 siblings, there's 5 of us, and we are products, and we have excelled. And I just want to thank Lynchburg City Schools for all that they've done, and not only Lynchburg City Schools, but the community, because the community and the school system has poured into us. That's why we are able to come and to give back, and we're happy and we're proud to be able to do it. I am very, very proud. I'm also very proud of this recipient. He is extraordinary. I will say this, Lynchburg City Schools, teachers, administrators, even down to nutrition, you have done your job. This young man, it's only 1 in 10 years that I would say, you did your job, he did his job, and now the results are there. And I am so proud of him and his mother. He is a very hard worker, and I wish him the best for the future. I know things will be just okay for him, and I promise, and I make this promise as a former educator, that it's going to be okay with all of our students. I know it's rough, but it will be okay. That's the promise that we have to make. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your hard work and all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. And thank you, Linda, who's also here, hiding somewhere. Oh, there she is. She's not hiding. Okay. Thank you, Linda and Vivian. Now on to why we are here tonight. This year's scholarship recipient is an outstanding Heritage High School senior, and truly, as Vivian said, one of those students where it doesn't take long before you realize you're in the presence of someone pretty special. He's taken on an incredibly rigorous academic path, earning a 4.37 GPA, while completing advanced math and science coursework, including enrollment in the Central Virginia Governor's School. But what's so impressive is what he does with his knowledge. He serves as the software lead on his robotics team, building and programming autonomous systems. He's led cybersecurity teams, earned industry certifications, and even interned with the Lynchburg City Schools IT department. Additionally, he's been recognized at the state level for his work in computational biology and has earned top honors in cybersecurity competitions. And then there's his research, exploring how artificial intelligence can support urban search and rescue, working through complex problems that most of us wouldn't even know where to begin. Now, I will say, when he finished his interview, I even confessed to him that I understood about 10% of what he had said. And I mean that in the best possible way, because what does come through clearly, no matter your level of technical expertise, is his passion, his purpose, and the way he brings others along with him. In his application, he talks about how important it is to support and guide other students, helping them learn, troubleshoot, and find their footing in areas like coding, robotics, and cybersecurity. And that really stood out to us. Because even with everything he's accomplished, he's still making the time to lift up others along the way. And I think this moment says it best. After his interview, in which he was one of the finalists, Linda shared this with me. His passion, intellect, and goals are fully aligned with what I had in mind when I established the scholarship. I could get him a job today. Please award the scholarship to him. And honestly, I think that says it all. It is my privilege and honor to recognize this year's recipient of the Lynchburg City Schools Computer Science Scholarship, Josiah Martin.
Congratulations. Congratulations, thank you. Chair comments, I don't have any comments. Student representatives, Dr. Mitchell.
All right, it doesn't look like Malia is here tonight. We do have Claire Ramsey from EC Glass.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. I'll start with cultural arts. The annual AP and Senior Art Show is opening May 1st at Riverview Art Space from 5:30 to 8 p.m. There will be a showcase of works created by talented artists from EC Glass High School. The featured artists are River Baird, Lily Gray, Helen Grace Sackett, Lily Hunt, Madeline Stone, Ren Cook, J.P. Manciere, and Dietrich Mullins. These AP and Advanced seniors exhibited their investigation series along with other senior art admissions. You won't want to miss it. With athletics, We've had a great start to the season with our Hilltopper track team. They competed last Wednesday night at Liberty Bedford, and the following athletes scored in the top 5. 4x100 meter relay of Shannon Wilson, Zaria Terry, Rosalia Webb, and Madison Wright placed first. The 4x400 meter relay of Trinaya Stewart, Rebecca Liu, Tegan Foster, and Heaven Harrington placed first. Trinaya Stewart placed first in the 200 meter dash, first in the 400 meter dash, first in triple jump, and third in long jump. Heaven Harrington placed first in long jump and second in the 400 meter dash. Madison Wright placed second in the hurdles, second in triple jump, and fourth in the 100 meter dash. Zaria Terry placed second in the 100 meter dash, second in long jump, third in triple jump. And Rosalia Webb placed third in the 100 meter dash. Rebecca Liu placed third in the 400 meter dash. Anaya McCoy placed third in the high jump and fourth in the triple jump. Claire Ramsey placed second in the 1600 meter run. Peyton Haith placed fourth in the shot put. Ayana Mosley placed fourth in discus. Zaria Clark placed fifth in discus. Shannon Wilson placed fourth in the 200 meter dash and fifth in the 100 meter dash. And Jaden Bugades placed fifth in the 800 meter run. For the boys, the 4x100 meter relay of Nori Hunt, Drayden Kopstein, Trevor Dale, and Jacavion Ravelli placed third. The 4x400 meter relay of Darian Petty, Seven Waller, Bailey Rogers, and Tanavion Mosley placed second. The 4x800 meter relay of Lee Bugades, Farhan Khan, Brady Rogers, and Adator Salazar placed second. Seven Waller placed first in the 400 meter dash and second in the 200 meter dash. DJ Tolbert placed first in the discus and second in shot put. Darian Petty placed first in the triple jump, fourth in the long jump, and fifth in the 100 meter hurdles. Patrick Good placed first in the high jump, third in the long jump, and third in the hurdles. Trevor Dale placed second in high jump. Tanavion Mosley placed second in the triple jump. Evan Black placed second in the hurdles. Jackson Page placed third in discus. Richard Ravelli placed fourth in discus. Josh Ramos placed fourth in shot put. Nathaniel Hill placed fourth in hurdles and fourth in the triple jump. John Paul Mancier placed fourth in the 800 meter run and fourth in the 1600 meter run. Also, our girls tennis team has stayed undefeated after a win against JF with a final score of 7-2. The boys soccer team has also been having a great season. The boys varsity soccer team played JF this past Wednesday at JF. The game ended in a tie of 2-2, and the team improves to a 4-0-1 tie on the season. In the past few weeks, the Boosters Excellence Award has been given out to several students. These student athletes were awarded the Boosters Excellence Award for the winter sports season. The criteria for this award include scholarship, athletic ability, leadership, and integrity. The following athletes have earned this award: Gavin Arthur for boys varsity basketball, Jordan Matthews for girls varsity basketball, Eliza Rhodes for cheerleading, Claire Ramsey for girls indoor track, JP Mancier for boys indoor track, Finn Tiller for boys swim, Audrey Miller for girls swim, and Dane Johnson for wrestling. The FCCLA Leadership Conference also happened this past week in Virginia Beach. The EC Glass students competed at the FCCLA Leadership Conference in Virginia Beach over spring break. Jasmine Ford had gold and a perfect score in fashion construction. Eliza Rhodes placed second in teaching strategies. Lila Porterfield and Jane Goen placed third in interior design, and Tatum Gillett placed third in baking. At Lincoln Middle School, students competed in National History Day competition. The following regional winners will move on to the state competition. Our group website first was Cooper Smithson, Rizon Vasquez, and Tenley Turnbow. Second was Ace Willis and Eleanor McAngus. Third was Aspen Moss and Josiah Hamlet. Fourth was Demi Ulawaji, Ruth Reed, Lila Mae Affey, and Ella Wynn Mickle. For group exhibit, third was Paisley Scott and Marlo Calloway. In group documentary, first was Sydney Huffman and Adeline Schaefer. Second was Stella Yauman, Margaret McCloskey, and Elizabeth McCloskey. Third was Wesley Millam and Campbell Button. For individual website was Eve Flavin, placed first, and second was Charlotte Chapelet. For individual exhibit, first was Aria Gugliata, second was Miriam Boyers, third was Henry Foster, and fourth was Lillian Nikitiana. For individual performance, first was Haley Spinner. For historical paper, first was James Flavin, second was Amina Burford, and third was Ashley Foster. At Bass Elementary School, fifth graders faced off against Lynchburg City School administrators, teachers, and the Lynchburg Police Department officers in a game of kickball on April 3rd to kick off spring break. At Lincoln Elementary School, there was a Donuts with Grown-Ups event for the second and third grade classes. Students enjoyed grade-specific literacy activities and donuts with parents and guardians in late March. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you very much, thank you. Next is public comments, Mr. Connor.
Okay. We adjusted our public comment portion tonight by vote that we're going to allow 45 minutes of public comments, but we're asking all speakers to limit their comments to 3 minutes, so everyone will get an opportunity to speak. In accordance with policy BDDH, public participation, members of the community are invited and encouraged to attend meetings of the Lynchburg City School Board to observe its deliberations. Any member of the community may address the board on matters related to the Lynchburg City Public Schools at any regular meeting. Persons or group wishing to address the school board may do so by choosing one of the following. Leave a voice message on the school board clerk's phone at 434-515-5077. Messages will be played during the public comment section of the school board meeting. Address the board in person during the public meeting. Persons desiring to address the school board by voicemail message shall submit the voicemail to the school board clerk no later than 3:30 p.m. on the day of the board meeting. Persons desiring to address the school board in person shall contact the clerk of the school board no later than 3:30 p.m. on the day of the board meeting, or by signing the public comment form, which shall be available to the public 15 minutes before the meeting starts. Each person requesting to speak shall identify the subject they want to address, and if the speaker represents a group, the speaker must identify the group. Persons appearing before the school board will not be allowed to campaign for public office or promote private business ventures, and should not use profanity or vulgar language or gestures, make comments about a public official or an employee that are not related to the public official or employee's official duties, engage in behavior that disrupts the meeting or intimidates others, or address the school board on issues that do not concern the services, policies, role, and/or responsibilities of the school board. Individual speakers, and tonight all speakers will limit their comments to 3 minutes. A total allotted time for public comments is 30 minutes, which we've extended to 45 minutes on tonight. Voicemail messages to be played are also limited to 3 minutes. Priority will be given to in-person comments before voicemail in the following order: 1, students; 2, staff; 3, parents, guardians; 4, community members. Public comments are reserved for the public to provide input. The board does not respond to comments, answer questions, or otherwise engage in discussion at this time. The chair is responsible for the orderly conduct of the meeting and rules on such matters as the appropriateness of the subject being presented and the length of time for such presentation. No one will be allowed to make additional presentations until everyone who wishes to speak has an opportunity to make an initial presentation. Tonight we have 14 speakers and 3 voicemails. And our first speaker is a student, Lily Yarbrough.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Lily Yarbrough, and I am a 9th grader at EC Glass High School. I'm here to speak about the matter of Dr. Rule leaving EC Glass. I had Dr. Rule as my principal at Dunbar Middle School when I was in 6th grade, and now as a 9th grader at Glass. With the short amount of time that I've had him, I can confidently say he has been the best principal I've ever had. I've never felt more seen and supported by any educator than I have with Dr. Rule. Dr. Rule does such a good job being in the hallways during passing periods and creating personal connections with students. He shows so much school support by going to sports games and other school events, cheering on the students. Dr. Rule is kind and makes it known that he wants the best for us academically and personally. I'm sure you all are aware that there is a petition going around in support of Dr. Rule with 3,683 signatures. I hope this shows the amount of people Dr. Rule has made an impact on and want him to stay. I hope you all consider asking Dr. Rule to stay at Glass. I think it would benefit students and faculty very much. I wanted to end this the same way Dr. Rule ends the school day. Dr. Rule, if nobody has told you they loved you today, Lily Yarbrough and 3,683 others love you very much, just the way you are. Thank you all very much for listening. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Alicia Roberts, a parent, a teacher, parent, and community member.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Roberts. I'm a mother of 4 children in Lynchburg City Schools, and I'm finishing my 15th year working for LCS. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize Dr. Rule for his 20 years of service in Lynchburg City Schools. Throughout his career, Dr. Rule has set high expectations for both students and staff while fostering caring, supportive school communities. At Darrington Elementary, he was not only an outstanding colleague, but also an educator who went beyond teaching core subjects. He led with discipline, accountability, and deep commitment to student success. As principal of Darrington Elementary, he led the school for 6 years during a critical time. When he began, Darrington was ranked in the bottom 5% of elementary schools in Virginia. Under his leadership, the school moved out of priority status and achieved full accreditation. That kind of transformation takes vision, dedication, and unwavering commitment. In 2019, Dr. Rule stepped into the role of principal at Dunbar Middle School. There, he continued to build a legacy by establishing a no excuses mindset, creating a culture rooted in respect and responsibility, and setting high expectations for both academics and behavior. His leadership prepared students not only for high school, but for long-term success. During this time at Dunbar, he implemented a student-centered approach, using data-driven strategies to meet the individual academic and personal needs of each student. This approach has empowered students to excel in academics, the arts, and athletics, both in middle school and beyond. I want to say thank you, Dr. Rule, for all you have done to make Lynchburg City Schools a better place for our children. The resignation of Dr. Rule comes as a surprise to many of us. It raises important questions. Why is our division okay or content with such a strong leader leaving our schools? Why are we not doing more to retain him and others like him? What kind of leadership are we truly seeking? While I understand he made the decision to resign, it is difficult to believe that someone with his level of integrity, loyalty, and commitment would walk away from a school he is highly invested in with a plan to move forward, from a school division that his own children are proud to attend and participate in, and from a community he actively serves in. I am disappointed that as a system, we continue to lose outstanding leaders, teachers, and staff while also struggling to maintain fully licensed and consistent personnel in our schools. This is a pattern that cannot be ignored. Who is listening to us as teachers, and who is listening to our community? My children deserve better, your children deserve better, and our community deserves better. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is also a parent. Please just hold with any of those type of responses. Our Our next is also a parent, Jenna Haskey.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Haskey. I've been an involved parent in LCS for 16 years with my 4 children at 5 different schools. We've had 5 superintendents, 14 head principals, countless other school leaders. Dr. Rule has been the strongest leader we have ever had. His resignation sent shockwaves throughout the community. His leadership has been built on relationships, time, trust, compassion, and consistency. He sees the goodness and giftedness in every child and knows how to grow and amplify it. He is a people-oriented, authentic leader who connects by personal example, not coercion. You can't manufacture or teach this style of leadership. So the questions many of us are asking is simple. Why would he resign so suddenly from a place he obviously loved? If that was not his true choice, then what has been happening in EC Glass that we were not told? Did he have the support he needed to do the job he was asked to do? How are we as a community supposed to move forward without understanding what happened? Last week, I spoke at City Council, hoping that our elected leaders would listen to the thousands, including hundreds of business, nonprofit, and community leaders who have signed in support of Dr. Rule and the decades of work he's done for LCS. Tonight, I want to talk about civic engagement and the lack of it right now. We teach students to seek the truth, speak the truth, and participate in democracy. The Virginia Department of Education defines civics as an essential study designed to prepare students for informed participation. The curriculum emphasizes active citizens focusing on responsibility, critical thinking skills, and a representative democracy. Yes, you are meeting the minimum legal requirement for public engagement in Virginia's standards of quality, but you are not meeting your stated commitment to transparency, communication, and trust. We expect leadership that reflects the engagement and transparency outlined in your own policies. Trust cannot be built through silence or surveys. It's built by showing up, listening, engaging in real conversations with the people you serve. Many of us have asked you for meetings or forums regarding the leadership change at EC Glass. We've been denied or ignored. Why? The superintendent and deputy do not even have their emails listed on the LCS website. Why is that so? Right now, the only opportunity for engagement we have is the opportunity here tonight, 45 minutes of one-way public comment, and then completing the survey. The questions on the survey do not even address the character and qualities of a desired leader, even though the preceding email about the survey says, quote, "We want you to share your input on the qualities and priorities you'd like to see in the next principal," end quote. Where are we supposed to share that when there's not a space given? It is simply signed LCS. Who are we supposed to address regarding comments regarding the survey? We understand there are legal limits regarding personnel matters, but those limits do not prevent public communication about process, expectation for leadership, or how decisions affecting a school community are made. So we're asking directly tonight, will you commit to holding a public in-person forum where family, staff, and students can speak? Number 2, will you provide a clear timeline for leadership decisions at EC Glass? Number 3, will you explain publicly and specifically how community input will actually be used in shaping your decisions? And number 4, will you state how stakeholders will be updated?
Thank you.
We have to find a way to work together.
Thank you.
It's okay for us to have differences.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Diane Younger, also a parent.
I came tonight because I've known Danny Rule for about 22 years when he first came to Liberty, and I met him, and he's been the same ever since. And I know he will sacrifice his family, children to help other families and children. The second thing I'm here because I am a foster parent and I have adopted children. And my son came to the meeting this morning, and he said, "Mama, can't you go to the meeting and speak on behalf of Pastor Danny? Y'all don't realize those kids be traumatized because they have somebody that they can really trust. If you ever dealt with foster children, adopted children, most of them are traumatized. And when you find somebody that they can trust, it makes a big difference in the community, in the school, and everywhere." That's all I have to say. I just hope everybody pray about what decisions they make, and let us all make the right decision.
Thank you. Please withhold applause. This is not the forum. The next speaker is also a parent, Consuela Mosley.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to speak on behalf of Dr. Rule. I've had the honor, the privilege, and the pleasure to work with Dr. Rule at Durham Elementary for 4 years as a volunteer. He also, on school day, supported my organization, Parental Alienation Awareness, with Bubbles with the Children. Also, he's awesome. I worked under him. When kids got in line, he didn't have to hit them. He raised his stern voice, and they got quiet in no time. If you remove good leadership, this will have a tremendous effect on our students. We will, in order to produce good and successful students, it first starts with good leadership, build a relationship with students, and most of all, this young lady said, love. That's what's missing in the school and the world today. At last, I would like to know the reason for Dr. Rules resigning, because don't complain when these kids are out of hand, because if you have another person in charge that can control the children, is it the children or the principal, or is it because y'all got good leadership that know how to build and understand children? Thank you.
Our next speaker is also a parent, Claude Gardner.
Good evening, members of the board, our superintendent, educators, families, and students alike. My name is Claude Gardner, and I am here not just as a community member, but also as a single foster parent with a child in Lynchburg City Schools. My child carries a history of trauma, loss, and disruption, experiences that no young person should have to walk through. Because of that, I know firsthand that the old saying is still true. It really does take a village to raise a child. And in this city, Dr. Danny Rule has been one of our village leaders. For more than 20 years, Dr. Rule has been the kind of educator and principal every parent, especially every foster and single parent, prays their child will encounter. He's not just a name on a letterhead, he is present. He builds real relationships with students who are thriving and with those who are barely holding it together. He sees the child behind the behavior and the potential behind their pain. When you're parenting a child with a traumatic history, a principal like this is not a luxury. Dr. Rule for us is a lifeline. National research confirms that many of us have what many of us have already experienced, and that is that strong principals change lives. Studies show that an effective principal can add months of learning in a single year, improve attendance, and keep great teachers in the school's teaching. Principals who build trusting relationships and lead with integrity create safer, more connected, and more successful schools. For students in a diverse city like ours here in Lynchburg and EC Glass, the most diverse school in the city, where we have both privilege and deep poverty, stability and instability, those relationships matter even more. A steady, caring leader who knows children by their names and their stories can literally alter the direction of a young person's life. Dr. Rule is that kind of leader. He shows up early and stays late, listens to families just like mine, and stands in the gap for students who do not have anyone else standing for them. He's been a part of this village raising so many of our children. And in a time when school leadership is unstable all across this country, where principals are leaving and not returning, Dr. Rule has been a constant. This evening, I'm asking you to see Dr. Rule the way many of us do, as a gift to this district and not a problem that needs to be moved aside. I ask you to reconsider the loss of his leadership as a principal and to possibly imagine something even more, that his influence would expand. He has the capacity and the wingspan to help shape other principals, to support and hire strong educators across our schools, and to set a vision for this entire district. He is, in every way, in my opinion, the kind of leader who could sit in the superintendent's chair and serve our entire community well. As a foster parent who depends on this village to help heal and guide a child with deep wounds, I am asking you from my heart, do not let this leader slip away. Keep him, elevate him, and let us remain with Dr. Rule.
Can I ask again, please do not applaud. We're allowing everybody an opportunity to speak, but it's not, applaud is just not in order for this forum. The next speaker is Delisa Rogers, a parent.
Good evening, members of the school board. I stand before you as an employee of Lynchburg City Schools and as a parent. I'm not only a parent and a member of the community, but I hold Dr. Rule closely as a friend. He is the kind of leadership that truly makes a difference. I respectfully ask that you just review any factors surrounding the resignation of Dr. Rule. As a parent, I made the intentional decision to remove my 2 children from a local private school, and I placed them in the hands of a leader I trust, and that was Dr. Rule at EC Glass. I know that I'm not alone in that decision. There are other families in the community who have made that same choice because they believed as well in the leadership, care, and stability that Dr. Rule shows at Glass and that he provides. Dr. Rule is more than a principal. He's been a consistent and a visible presence in the lives of students, including my 2. He is the one standing outside each morning, greeting students at Glass with a fist bump and setting a positive tone before those students even walk through the doors. For many students, that moment matters more than we may ever fully realize. It tells them that they are seen. It tells them that they belong. He is also the man that my children see at track meets and at basketball games, present, engaged, and supportive. He greets parents, he connects with families, he quietly encourages students, not loudly from the sidelines like I sometimes have been, but with a calm and with a steady presence that speaks just as powerfully. It's that kind of leadership that doesn't demand attention, but it definitely deserves respect. As a longstanding leader within this community and school district, Dr. Rule understands these students. He gets them. To him, they are not just numbers or statistics. They are individuals with potential, challenges, and stories that all matter, and he knows those stories. That understanding shapes the way that he leads. It shapes the way that he shows up every day and the way that he supports both students and staff. In a time when students are navigating and dealing with so much, whether it's academically, socially, emotionally, this kind of leadership is not just appreciated, but it's much needed, especially in our community. It has built trust and it has built stability. It helps shape a school environment where our students at Glass feel safe. They feel safe enough to grow, to develop, to try, and to succeed. The relationship Dr. Rule has built with students is not something that can be easily replaced with a survey. I understand that decisions like this are complex and involve many considerations, but I ask that you consider the human side of the decision made and the daily impact on students. The confidence that families place in school leadership and the example being set for what we value in those that lead our schools.
Thank you. Our next speaker is also a parent, Martha Johnson.
Good evening. I'm Martha Johnson, and I have 3 daughters, and for the past 25 years, at least one of them has been enrolled in one of our fine public schools here in Lynchburg. My youngest is a sophomore at EC Glass, and like many of her classmates, is devastated by Dr. Rule's resignation announcement. I am asking you, the school board and superintendent, to do everything in your power to persuade him to reconsider his decision and remain principal at Glass. He has been the greatest leader and community builder at the school that the school has seen since perhaps Susan Morrison, and we need to keep him at the helm. I've heard rumblings that perhaps stepping away is not actually what he wishes to do. Hearing nothing from administration reinforces this idea. All we hear is that it is a personnel issue. Well, obviously, we can all see that this is a personnel issue. That does not excuse administration from their obligations to their most important stakeholders, the students, staff, and families of EC Glass. Certainly, there is communication you can legally share and have conversations you can have with people most affected. We deserve it, especially the students. In the absence of any explanation, we are left to speculate on why the administration would interrupt a leader who has a 20-year history of uncommon commitment and devotion. This speculation leads to an all too plausible theory that this body is not working to strengthen our schools. After all, the school board is appointed by city council who, as we all know, is not uniformly supportive of our public schools. It is not unreasonable to see this as sabotage. Destabilize an effective public school leader in order to prove the point about the failings of public schools. Yes, there are plenty of things that need fixing in our public schools, but this is not one of them. I hope you will listen and respond to the community that matters most in this situation. Urge him to reverse his decision. Tell us what is really happening. Or don't speak of honesty, integrity, or transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is also a parent, Erin Mendez.
Good evening, school board. I'm just an everyday mom. My son attended Dunbar while Danny Rule was the principal there. He loved Danny Rule, and my son had a lot of trouble in schools, and he was definitely a staple for him every morning, especially, and helped us out with a lot of issues, and did a phenomenal job with my son, whom I was very concerned about. My 15-year-old, I would like to send him to EC class. He would like to attend EC class, and the only reason that I really was okay with that was because of Danny Rule being the principal. I am a little concerned for him attending, not knowing what is coming next, but I felt safe and secure with Danny Rule. Danny is not just a normal man. He's a man of honor and strength and courage and persistence, and he will fight for our children and will be strong, good presence, not just for my kid, but for the upcoming age of our generations to come. The morality of this man is an example to our children of how to grow to be honorable and good people to society. I don't understand why we would even accept his own resignation, even if he wanted to leave. We need more people in this world like Danny Rule, and we have him in Lynchburg, here in Lynchburg, to take care of our children and raise them up. Why would we choose to omit something so good and positive for our schools? We need good people and good men to guide our next generation to come, and that is who Danny Rule is. I just hope that we can come to some sort of consensus and decision on something that is best for our children, our babies. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is community member Derek Brown.
Good evening, members of the board, school administration. My name is Dr. Derek Brown, former Chief Academic and Student Service Officer for Lynchburg City Schools and public school administrator for over a decade. I personally know the weight of the principalship, arguably one of the hardest jobs in education. Perhaps one of the greatest burdens and responsibilities of that job is to remain silent during times like this, to keep the focus on the kids. But tonight I hope to be a voice to the voiceless. Regardless of the circumstances surrounding Dr. Rule's departure, I believe that there's always an opportunity to show appreciation for those who have given so much to our community. Over the past 10 years, I've had the great fortune of knowing Dr. Danny Rule both professionally and personally, and he's a rare trifecta. He's been a principal who's led at the middle, elementary, and high school levels with excellence all along the way. As a turnaround principal, Dr. Rule has successfully led Darrington Elementary School to full accreditation. But what stood out the most to me was how he accomplished it. His leadership was rooted in a genuine care for students, not only academically, but personally. One of the most powerful examples of this was this creation of the walking school bus. Rather than allowing young students to walk the streets alone to school, Dr. Rule personally walked the neighborhood each morning, escorting students safely to school. That speaks volumes to his character. Dr. Rule later succeeded me as principal of Paul Lawrence Dunbar Middle School, where he built upon a culture of high expectations without excuses. During one of the most challenging periods in education, the COVID-19 pandemic, his leadership ensured stability and kept the focus on academics during an unprecedented disruption. Most recently, I've had the privilege of working alongside Dr. Rule at EC Glass High School, where I watched him navigate challenging staffing challenges, accreditation pressures, difficult parent conversations and concerns, and countless hours invested after the bell in the arts, athletics, and student life. He's a tested and trusted leader with deep, well-rounded skill set. But perhaps what has impressed me the most about Dr. Rule is how he showed up for the community after the deaths of several of his staff and students. I've watched this man console grieving children, comfort crying mothers, and support an entire community on their worst days with love, empathy, and high standards, with no excuses. Dr. Rule exemplifies kindness, integrity, and servant leadership. He's the kind of leader every school system should hope to develop and fight to keep. And while his time at LCS is inevitably coming to a close, my only humble request this evening is simple, that Dr. Rule receive a sincere, meaningful, and public thank you for his 20 years of service into the children and family of Lynchburg. He has more than earned it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kay Vaughn, a retired teacher.
Before I get started, I figured out, did the math, and 14 times 3 is 42, so actually I'm hoping you'll give me an extra 3 minutes.
We have 3 voicemails as well.
Okay. Well, I had to try that. My name is Kay Vaughn, and I've come here tonight as a representative of EC Glass Alumni Boosters. I've been a faithful Hilltopper for 66 of my 80 years. My husband and I both lived our whole lives here in Lynchburg. I'm a 64 graduate of Glass and a teacher for 3 different decades at EC Glass, Dunbar, and the Pride Center. Now I'm just a volunteer, not just, but a volunteer, and I spent a lot of my time at EC Glass. I have known professionally and personally 14 of the 17 principals since 1920 when Lynchburg High became EC Glass. And I can say with certainty and authority that in just 3 short years, Dr. Rule has earned the title and the choice of everyone I know as being in the top 3 of those principals, and is the best thing that has happened to EC Glass since Dr. Roger Jones. People have told me I would be wasting my time coming here tonight, that you all have made up your minds, but I don't believe that. I believe you will listen to the stakeholders and ultimately decide to revisit your decision and respectfully ask Dr. Rule to withdraw his resignation, and more importantly, wholeheartedly support him in his vision. It is his calling, and he is so good at it. So why is his leadership style, which is leading with love, why is that being challenged? We stakeholders need to know. He has successfully applied it everywhere he has been, elementary school, middle school, and EC Glass for 20 years. I was privileged to be on the selection committee to hire Dr. Rule 3 years ago. He was a unanimous choice then and was enthusiastically hired by the school board. His goals, strategies, and style have not changed since then, and he has had tremendous success. He's not perfect, none of us is, but his heart and soul go into this job every day. This is his calling, and he needs to be supported. You've seen the petition. Hopefully you've read what the students are saying. One student said, I come to school each day only because of Dr. Rule. Another student said, Dr. Rule saved my life. We all have our stories about what a wonderful human and principal Dr. Rule is, but I want to tell you my own personal story. I had a horrible math teacher at Glass when I was there. She called me stupid every day, and she was allowed to stay for some reason. But I would go from her class to my English class where my English teacher told me that I was gifted, that I was smart. And I believed her, the math teacher, but when I went to my English teacher, I believed him as well. Please let me just read this last thing by the educator.
We want to give everybody an opportunity, ma'am. We'd like to give everyone an opportunity. We have a lot of people that have also signed up to speak. Our next speaker is Belle Evans.
Thank you.
My name is Belle Evans, and I'm a graduate of EC Glass High School. Both of my sons graduated from Glass.
I'm a former special ed teacher for Lynchburg City, and I also served as a member on the Lynchburg City School Board. I'm here tonight because what's happening at EC Glass should concern every citizen in Lynchburg, and it should especially concern this board. Glass serves one of the most diverse student populations in our city. That diversity is a huge strength, but only if students feel seen, supported, and connected. And connection is the foundation of a strong high school. Without it, nothing else works. And connection starts with leadership. A principal's greatest impact isn't just policy and discipline, it's relationships. It's knowing students, it's earning their trust, and creating a school where they feel like they belong. That is something that cannot be taught, trained, or replaced. Dr. Rule has demonstrated that he brings those qualities to Glass. There's been speculation that discipline at Glass hasn't been as consistent as it should be. Fine, then address that. Put the right people in place and systems in place to support that. You don't remove a leader who is finally connected with students, especially in a school that's needed that connection for years. Because discipline can be supported, systems can be improved, but the ability to truly connect with students is rare, and when you have it, you protect it. When you remove a leader like Dr. Rule under unclear circumstances, you don't just lose a principal. You send a message, and that message is student connection is not being prioritized. You break trust, you destabilize a school, and students feel that immediately. We cannot say we prioritize students while removing the very leadership that helps them feel seen and supported. We deserve to know these decisions put students first, period. Our students deserve stability. Glass deserves a leader like Dr. Rule, and this board has a responsibility to recognize and protect what is working at EC Glass. Connection is what makes students show up, engage, and succeed. This isn't new. Lynchburg City knows this, but they need to be guided by it. I am asking this board to reevaluate this situation and publicly clarify the standards and priorities being used to make leadership decisions that directly impact the students. Thank you.
Our next speaker is also a community member, Mitch Richards.
Peace, everyone. My name is Mitch Richards. I represent a nonprofit called For the Love of the City. Honestly, I did not expect to even sign up to speak. And I love the kids, but I usually let other people who might feel a little bit more passionate about certain things speak on certain topics. I had the privilege or the honor to be a part of a program led by the late, great Dr. Caldwell. I got an opportunity to mentor at EC Glass. And being that I do youth violence intervention, this was just a perfect opportunity. It just allowed me to work with kids that could avoid a path that I took that changed my life. Now I was able to be resilient and rebuild it, but there were so many things that could have been done, so getting this opportunity was wonderful. I walked in the hallway and I saw this guy with a three-piece suit on. Hold on. I saw this white guy with a three-piece suit on and Jordans. And I said, oh, he's just a cool teacher. It's no way every single time I step in this school, he's in the hallway every time the bell rings, right? He just gotta be a teacher. So I end up talking to him, find out he's the principal. Then once I find out he's the principal, I start going to different neighborhoods, the Meadows, Darrington, Greenfield. I go to all these different neighborhoods and I start meeting a lot of youth or people that might be 20, 21 who had interactions with Dr. Rule. And they all said how he impacted their lives. Now that is not something that a lot of black youth, especially black male youth, say about a white man, period. He touched me in that moment. I knew that he was crossing lines that weren't meant to be crossed, because schools are meant to be filled with teachers and disciplinarians, not people who can relate to these kids and actually go into their neighborhoods and help them through some of these traumas that they're dealing with on a daily basis. And he takes it upon himself to do that. So I think, you know, we're as a community, we're asking, you know, why he's being removed. I think we need to ask why anytime an administrator is being removed or resigned, why isn't the room filled up just like this, or why aren't there that many petitions being floated around just to keep that person in? That must mean something special about this brother. He does not need to be overlooked. Our schools need to be filled with people just like him. And if they're not, then we need to be asking ourselves, do we really care about the kids of these cities? Peace.
Our next speaker is Francesca Blair, community member.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Francesca Blair, and I'm a local community member, and I want to speak today on behalf of Dr. Danny Rule, whom my heart truly goes out to. Ever since I have known Dr. Rule, he has treated me with the utmost kindness and integrity as if I was not a random stranger, but a member of his own family. When I relocated to Lynchburg, he provided me with valuable resources in order to sustain my life within the community of Lynchburg and Virginia as a whole. He offered consistent assistance and feedback and always checked in to ensure I was doing well. As a local community activist, I like to be on record that I have observed Dr. Rule with children of all ages from 0 to college, as well as adults, and he has had and still is making a huge impact on my life and the lives of us all. His contribution to education in general and the LCS system is extraordinary, and I believe there is no one who can take his place in tenured dedication, commitment, sincerity, and his pure supportive heart that sees no bounds, no colors, no genders when it comes to children and humanity and their success in education as well as life as a whole. With over 3,000 plus signatures and countless comments from students, teachers, staff, and community members alike, it is my plea to this school board to reconsider terms and conditions that led to the resignation of Dr. Rule, and so that he's able to continue his daily success efforts. It is my firm belief that he should continue as the principal of EC Glass because he is truly the students and the community's best asset. We love you, Dr. Rule, and are standing behind you the way you have stood with us every step of the way. Thank you.
That's our final in-person speaker. We now have 3 voicemails.
How much time is left, Ms. Clerk?
7 minutes.
Hi, my name is Beth Pollard. I have 3 children who are in Lynchburg City Schools, including 1 9th grader. And I would like to implore you to do anything you can to retain Dr. Rule. Please convince him to stay. He unifies our community. We know he believes in Lynchburg City Schools, wants to make EC Glass the best school around. I think that letting him go is going to be the most divisive thing to do. We already have some trust issues after the last superintendent of the school. Parents really don't trust the school board since then. I had kids at TC North. And I really think that what our community needs right now is folks who want to help administrators and teachers stay. And let their plans be played out. Let's see. A good school has teachers who have been there for a long time, as well as administrators who have been there for a long time, who lead. And that is what we want. We don't want all this turnover, especially not of Dr. Rule. We love him. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Scott Wiebe. I'm a father of 4 children, 3 of whom are currently at EC Glass. I'm actually going to be at the EC Glass tennis match this afternoon, so I had to leave this voicemail because I won't be able to be at the school board meeting today for that reason. Like many, I signed a petition encouraging the administration to do something, anything, to keep Dr. Danny Rule as principal of EC Glass. His resignation has created a moment of concern for thousands of us. Dr. Rule leads with care and compassion more than any other employee of LCS that I've ever encountered. I've always been a big believer that you can know a leader, at least in part, by who is willing to follow him or her. If Dr. Rule does not feel like he can lead in the school system right now, we're all in trouble. Said another way, if he's not able to follow the leadership of this school system, then maybe we should start asking some hard questions. I would love it if we could get Dr. Rule back and get him to undo his resignation, but if we can't, then I hope that the school board will take the difficult step to fix the problems that caused us to lose him in the first place. So school board, where is the problem? Is it with the new superintendent? I don't have the ability to know, but you should. Whatever the problem is, all the way up to maybe needing to search again for a superintendent, you need to take the steps to make that happen. Personally, I'd rather have Dr. Rule back as a principal, even if it means we have to reopen a superintendent search. I understand that's a really big statement, and I also understand that new leaders need time to implement their methods into a system, but my kids don't have time for you to wait and see how this might work out. We can already see how it's working out. If you decide to wait or not take the necessary action now, wherever it's needed, you're sending me the message that my kids are not worth it for the remaining years of their education. It's hard to admit when you've made a mistake, but it goes a long way when you do and take the action necessary to fix it right away. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chiffon Jones, and I'm calling to voice my opinion about Principal Danny Rules at EC Glass. I want to say that he is such a wonderful man. He has a good character. He upholds the kids to strive to be excellent. And I have seen him over the years that with his own kids and with the kids at my church, at Ramp Church International. He's a youth pastor there, and he has so much patience. He's kind. He has a good character. He treats every child, regardless of what race they are, with respect, and he honors them, and they show respect and honor him as well. He is kind. He don't hate. He's always patient with the kids. He speaks with authority, and he upholds himself very well. My name is Chiffon Jones, and my daughter was in his Sunday school class, and he did such a wonderful job. To this day, she is 19, and she's still doing well. From just him being a father figure, a great male figure, and just a great character all around. I recommend him to stay many, many more years to come. Thank you, and have a blessed and wonderful day. Bye-bye.
This concludes our public comment section of our school board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Next one is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Barron?
Yes.
Mr. Ali?
Yes.
Mrs. Laurie?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Dr. Gupta?
Yes.
Mr. DePaul?
Yes.
Mr. Poe?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thanks. Next is finance report. Dr. Majid.
Yes, I will turn this over to Ms. Jamies.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Gupta, members of the school board, and Dr. Majid. So thank you for the opportunity to address you. You have before you the March 31st, 2026 month-end financials. As of March, we are 75% of the fiscal year complete. The percent of revenues that we have collected versus the original appropriation so far this year is at 71.26%. the amount of expenditures versus the original appropriation is at 72.62%. So they're running neck and neck there. The total expenditures inclusive of encumbrances equates to 98.88%. We always want to see that below 100%. So notable expenses with variances of 100%, greater than 100%, that we had in March were in our homebound instruction, our personnel services, our attendance services, and health services for our purchase services. Most of those were encumbrance-related overages, which should balance themselves out towards the end of the fiscal year. On your statement of revenue, the total amount of revenues received so far this year is at $84,911,535. That's 71.26% of the budgeted amount. Of the total, state revenues equated to 68.15%. Federal revenues equated to 46.35%. They're a little laggy. And then local revenues equated to 77.97%. Thank you, City of Lynchburg. Our miscellaneous and charges for services collection rates are at 107.23%. Thank you for some insurance recovery costs, pushing us into that 107%. And then 47.10% on charges for services. So moving on to our monthly summary report, in March, our claims dropped by $469 million. So they came in at a negative 1.395697 million dollars. So we're heading in a right direction on those claims. We're less negative. Yeah. So I did have a meeting with Anthem and our consultant, Smart 3, today, exploring strategies to help alleviate some of the strain on costs associated with providing health services to our employees. I will be presenting those strategies first to Dr. Majette and then to the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting at their next meeting. So we're looking for ways to help alleviate some of this, these over expenditures and things of that nature. So that concludes the end of my report, short and sweet. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to entertain those.
At the bottom of the fiscal year 25-26 operating budget, where it says FY 2026 year-to-date total, the balance, is there a, like, we have this much, I have this much money to spend, and is this the balance of it?
So are you on the summary sheet? Or are you
yeah, the very last one, the last item on the three.
The summary sheet?
Mm-hmm. I'm just wondering, is that 3 million?
So the year-to-date total for FY 26, that is how much of a deficit we have in health insurance right now, that $3 million.
Okay.
So remember,
we're that much in the hole.
We do have health insurance reserve, and we do have a few more months of our receipts that we will take in. So hopefully our claims from our winter months where everyone got their services, hopefully those will balance out, and then our receipts will start to catch up to them and hopefully have less of a deficit. Okay. But you know, let's face it, in my meeting today with the health insurance consultants, health insurance isn't getting cheaper. So we're just going to have to get creative in how we manage that going forward. Yeah. So, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Right. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Next is administrative update, Dr. Majette and Dr. Davis.
Yes, so good evening. I know they'll be pulling the presentation up. School board members, staff, members of the community who are remaining tonight. Dr. Davis and I are going to provide an administrative update of the work happening across Lynchburg City Schools. So as I'm in my 10th month as superintendent here, I want to acknowledge that much of the work taking place isn't always visible. And so this presentation is intended to provide you all with a series of focus updates, just giving you updates as we move along. So it's not all encompassing. It does not capture every day-to-day action, but it does provide clarity into the systems that we're building and the direction that we're moving. So our goal is to ensure that the board and the community has a clear understanding of how the work is developing and why it matters. Next slide, please. Okay, so when you look at this next slide, this is Lynchburg City Schools by the numbers. We wanted to make sure that you all saw the demographics. These are the same demographics that we shared with our citizens group with the city, but we felt that it was pertinent for everyone to see where we are. So fall 2025 school quality profile data, we have just over 7,000 students in grades K-12, 356 pre-K students. 66% of our student population is economically disadvantaged. 15% are students with disabilities, and a little over 5% are English language learners. We serve all of these students across 2 pre-K academies, 10 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, 2 high schools, and then we have the regional centers. You see Lowell Regional Center K-12 for students with disabilities, and then our Fort Hill Alternative Ed Center. The next one we look at it, demographics, schools versus city. And looking at this, I wanted to have a snapshot of what our community looks like and then the population that we serve. So as far as the school division, 48% of our students are Black, 29% are white, 10%, a little over 10% are 2 or more races. Hispanic students represent almost 10%. Asian students, 1.4%. And then 0.2% American Indian. When you look at the city in comparison, 27% of the city population is Black, 61% is white, 6% 2 or more races, Hispanic 5%, Asian 2.3%, and then 0.3% for American Indian and 0.2% for Native American. So I wanted to just give a snapshot of what we look like as a school division, but then what do we look like as we look at the broader community.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Those numbers, are the census just taken by the adults in the household? That's why the school demographics numbers are much higher than the children are not counted in, or?
I believe the households counted in, but that's just the population that we serve in the school division.
Percentage of the school population, percentage
Versus
city population.
City.
Oh, okay, gotcha, all right.
Okay. All right, so if you look at the next slide, and before I dive into this, I want to be clear about a few things. I recognize whenever we present data, there are good things happening in Lynchburg City schools, and absolutely they are. But I do think we have to question and ask ourselves when we look at where we are, whether those outcomes are reaching the majority of our students. Are those good things happening for the majority, or are those good things happening for those who have access, advocacy, and opportunity? And I think that's a question that I constantly ask myself, and the team and I, we discuss when we look at this data. Yes, there are good things happening, but I think we have to be realistic about where we are so that we can move forward. And because that distinction matters, our responsibility is to ensure that not only good things are for a limited few, but it's experienced by all students and whatever success is defined for them. And the status quo is simply just unacceptable. So when you're looking at this data reflects, reflects both areas of strength and areas we must improve. So we recognize this. 1 school's distinguished, 3 are on track, 7 are off track, 3 schools are identified as needing intensive support. This was all data that was presented in December, so what you heard last month was not the first time it was presented. When we received it from the Department of Education, you all received it. Lynchburg City Schools ranks 122 out of 131 school division. Wasn't new information. I believe I said that in September or October when I first received the information. Nothing's new about it. So this board recognizes it, but I just want to circle back to it. But I also want to speak to the fact that there's been a significant decline over the last 20 years. 20 years. We went from 75 to 122. That's important to note, and that's something that we have to look at. So when we start looking at what we need to do, it really reinforces the fact of, hey, we have to have consistency in our practices, and we have to have strong systems so that we can get the outcomes that we deserve for kids.
Repeat to what you just said, that in the last 20 years, we have gone down from rank of 75
Yes, you've gone
With a
from,
rank of 122.
yes,
That's what
20
you just
years.
said?
Yes, it's been a significant decline over the 20 years, yes.
Thank you.
So if you look at the next slide, thank you. When you start, we've been talking about developing the strategic plan all year. And this board, we've received community input. The staff has really been working really hard, the administrative staff, with getting the strategic plan going with our vendor. And that strategic plan, we recognize, gives us direction. When we're absent of a plan, even if you extend it for a year and extend it for a year, if that plan is expired, that's extinct. So for 2 years of that 20, we haven't had a clear roadmap. And really, if you count in this year, you know, that makes it 3. So we recognize the need for having that strategic plan in place and working diligently to do that. That strategic plan, and I'm not going to read the goals to you, but I just want to speak to it because I know you've all seen it. But it gives us direction. It outlines where we're going and what we value as a division. It doesn't define the detailed systems, and I want to be clear about that required to carry out the work day to day. But it does not tell us how to build, I'm just using some examples I'll speak to. It doesn't tell us how to build licensure tracking for human resources. It doesn't tell us how to develop curriculum that we have in a timely manner or having curriculum in place. It doesn't structure how we work with the community for community engagement. But what it does is it's going to provide a framework in that direction for the alignment. And our work now is building that internal capacity so that we can bring that direction to life. So we recognize that, yes, we need a strategic plan, but there's work that still has to be done because we work for kids every day. And so I want to sort of explain that piece. Next slide. Thank you. So when you look at this diagram, and I like using a lot of analogies, I want to give a little bit of context here. This is a relatively new executive leadership team at the central office level. People are new in their roles. I'm new to you all. Several people have shifted. And in many organizations, when you enter the organization, there are already established systems and structures that guide the work, regardless of who's in the role. So you should be able to come in and step in and know who does what that role does, how they do it, why they do it, when they do it, just timelines and information. But what I found when I arrived was that many of those structures were either inconsistent or not in place. So you're building it. And that means that we're not only trying to lead the work, I'm not going to say trying, we're not only leading the work every day, but we're building systems that allow that work to function and so that we can be effective. So I want you to look at this diagram. It represents a foundation. You're building a house, got to have a foundation. Needs to be a foundation there, right? So you can't build a house without a foundation. You can't build a strong house on unstable ground. And I think sometimes we say, well, we're not seeing anything happening. You know, what's happening? It's not there. I don't understand. We're not seeing it. It's not visible. And I can understand that perspective. Not saying I agree with it, but I understand it. Because the work of building systems is not always visible. When you go to search for a home, how many people go and say, oh, that is a nice looking foundation there? No, you're looking at what's aesthetically pleasing to you. Oh, it has a nice porch. The windows are gorgeous. I'm going to have a nice view. We're looking at the exterior. Rarely do we notice a foundation until you look and you see you got a little crack in the foundation. You got to get somebody out there to fix your house, right? But imagine coming in and there's no foundation. So the reality is that home doesn't stand without that foundation. And the work that we're doing now, no, it's not visible. Nobody goes by and says, oh, they're laying a great foundation on that house. All of that's not visible because that's work that happens oftentimes and goes unnoticed. But we're in that process of creating those systems and processes that allows everything to function as it should. So I want to give you a few examples. Next slide. Okay. I want to give you a few examples. And I want to explain again. Systems define what we do consistently. Process define how we do it step by step. And if we don't have both, things become inconsistent and we have the same issue that we're facing right now. So I'll give an example. And all of these are not all encompassing of all the work that we're doing, but I want to give a snapshot tonight. Human resources, when you think about it, system, structured way to ensure that every position is filled with a qualified and supported employee. Process, making sure that we have step-by-step actions that move hiring and licensure from start to finish. So when I say before, my before is July. And that's all I can tell you. Inconsistent hiring procedures, limited follow-through in the hiring process, And then absence of clearly defined division-wide system tracking supporting licensure. And I'll just be honest, there were people, when I got on in July, they said, oh, they're finding out in July that they were approved by the board in February or March. So guess where those people are? They went to other divisions. They left. This is the reality. Because when you don't have a clear system in place, that's what happens. Who's going to stick around? We all have to pay bills. So that's what people are going to do. They're going to move on if they don't hear from us. So what we have in progress is defining clear hiring steps from vacancy to onboarding. It's not enough to post a position. It's not enough to interview. It's not enough to get board approval. And then, hey, I'm going to follow up with you months later. That's unacceptable. So that's when I talk about systems. We're putting those things in place because we got to have a process for doing the work that we do. Establishing checkpoints and accountability measures. Making sure, I always say, sometimes I'm the queen of questions and I have too many questions and circle back. Make sure that you close the full loop on things. We're making sure that those things are in place. Implementing an organized licensure tracking system with monitoring and support. I've heard personally from staff members that, hey, I turned in, I submitted my licensure application last year. I gave my transcript last year. I never heard anything back. It never moved. It was on a desk. It was in a folder. It was in a drawer. That's unacceptable. And we recognize that. So those systems, we're putting those structures in place now. Doing those processes. So those are things the public doesn't see. But that's what we come in on Saturdays and Sundays and spend our time doing because we recognize that these are things that have to happen because it supports staff. Potential impact, our goal is to have a reduction in vacancies, reduce the need for as many long-term substitutes. We have some schools that they're ridden with long-term substitutes. I'm appreciative that the people show up, but at the same time, we have to build capacity and get people in place and have it appropriate. So one of the things, next slide, please. Okay, so one of the things that we're looking at, I know right now we've had that classified teacher program, but we're looking at something more streamlined that makes sense. The Lynchburg Educator Access Program, LEAP, Ms. Brown and her team are working through the details now, just providing an alternate pathway for people to get to licensure. And support them with structured guidance. And she can tell you herself, when they first came with the idea, I was like, oh yeah, that's great. How are we getting there? And I want to see step by step and who's checking what as we go along the way, because it's great. I can throw something out there, but if I don't have any accountability measures, I'm just wasting everybody's time. Next piece, and then those are just some general things with eligibility and entry to it, looking at people being on a 1 to 2 year track with working on this licensure. You shouldn't get on there and sit there for 4 years because there's a disconnect. Either we didn't evaluate it properly or you didn't have the level of commitment, but there's something wrong there. So that we have proper tracking, we're looking at, do you have a bachelor's degree, the vacancy rate? So there'll be several things that we look at there. So I wanted to give you that example of that. Another area is instruction. Same thing. System, a division-wide structure that ensures consistent, high-quality teaching and learning. Process, daily practices that we use to plan, to teach, assess, respond to student needs. So when you look at this, and I'm put it out there, and I know Dr. Davis will touch during her portion, but before, when I say it got here, limited or unclear curriculum guidance, absence of a fully developed year-long curriculum at the division level. That limits a teacher's ability to plan. I was a teacher that my summer work, I at least outlined kind of what I thought I was going to do for the year. You recognize it's going to adjust, but I wanted to come in to my classroom and plan ahead. Well, one of the things that I realized when I was here, and I felt bad because I kept asking Dr. Davis, why are there so many instructional support people in central office so often? Why are they here? And she would say, Dr. Majette, they're working on curriculum. And I was like, that's summer work. You always revisit curriculum in the summer, you make your adjustments, things like that. And she would say it time and time again. Well, finally, I caught on because we thought we were speaking the same language and we weren't. I realized that we're just a step ahead of teachers in developing the curriculum, but a little bit ahead of them doing it. That's unacceptable. But guess what? That's a structure, that's a system, that's something that's core that isn't there, that wasn't there. So that's not the shiny work that everybody gets to see, but that is that work that, hey, now we have to put in this extra time, these extra hours, because we're supposed to put these things in place. So, of course, in progress, and she'll speak to those things, clear curriculum pacing expectations, aligning planning, teaching, assessment processes, and that impact will be stronger, more intentional planning, more consistent instructional delivery, reduction in persistent learning gaps over time. It's all foundational pieces that have to be there. Dr. Davis.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Dr. Majette. So as we're talking through the curriculum development, where we are, the state of the curriculum, when we talked through multiple times for that high quality instructional material or HQIM, that's what we call true tier 1 instruction. And it's what our students deserve. It's grade level instruction. It's what they need to thrive. 2024 and 25 marked that per our literacy plan, where we moved into, in 2024, that K through 5 and really adopted the benchmark advanced curriculum for literacy. So we're in our second year of that. 2025, we restarted HMH for 6 through 12 for that literacy program. And again, both are recognized and located within our adopted literacy plan for Lynchburg City Schools. 2026, we've already actually started training for high quality instructional materials on the adopted math curriculum, where we're going to transition using Go Math at the elementary level in HMH, and we're going to transition into KITM and math space. So this upcoming year, we're transitioning fully into that HQIM, again, for math. History and science will fully transition. The goal is for 2027, and I want to be clear that the transition for that is because we are still awaiting instructional materials from the state. But in lieu of sitting and waiting and not having high quality instructional materials, we will have physical copies of instructional materials and supports and resources provided for our students for the upcoming year, alongside that training throughout the summer and the school year to support that work as well. That lack of consistency for Tier 1 materials being used and consistently implemented, so it's not the fact of having it, but using it and implementing that, is only being offered through virtual formatting or kits throughout the year right now. So thinking about the science kits that are being offered at the elementary level, and a lot of virtual textbooks. So we hear a lot about use of Chromebooks. Students are having to use Chromebooks because a lot of our textbook materials are in that virtual format. So wanted to give clear delineation for that as well. It's not that they just want to be on it, but that's what format has been offered. So we are making the true transition to actual materials where you can turn and read and look at a page. Pacing. If you hear logs, we talk about logs a lot. They are our learning outcomes and goals. They are our pacing guides. Based on the new high-quality instructional materials and curriculum resources and updated SOLs, those are actually being revised and updated as we speak. So those are posted. And please know that we have had to remain a quarter ahead, as Dr. Majette spoke to, because we were not able to get out ahead of that fully based on the changes, the implementation across the board. Going into this year, into this summer, we will have all of that fully updated, and we'll begin to plan and view on that material based on our recent acceptance of grants for our folks as well. The status for July 2025, the instructional teams were actively building in here daily, and we don't have a large instructional team. They were creating and aligning those instructional guides and resources, creating assessments by hand and instructional resources throughout the year to provide needed instructional materials and those supports for our school divisions. So those were being created. Next steps we're working toward, it's preparation for updated instructional materials, including those pacing guides, resource guides, instructional plan resources, and assessments, and they will be completed and aligned and made available for all staff prior to the beginning of the 26-27 school year, in preparation for planning purposes and training purposes as needed. Please know that no matter what we do, curriculum development is always going to be ongoing, but we are addressing those inconsistencies and strengthening the pacing across those schools. We may have started behind. We will not remain there because we recognize the importance and significance of that for our students. Next slide, please. So as we're talking about instructional focus, it's not just about those instructional materials for leadership development, but we are partnering with the Virginia Association for Teaching, Learning, and Leading. We have actually already started that process to strengthen and streamline our instructional process across the board. What do we go in and see? How do we provide feedback? What does that look like? We are engaging all middle school administrators. On the previous slide, Dr. Majette alluded to those schools who are ATSI or TSI, so are federally identified schools. All 3 of our middle schools are federally identified, and 2 of which have been there for several years. So that is why there was an intentional focus to start there. We do every walk and conversation alongside that team. It's myself, Dr. Majette, and Ms. Sarah Campbell, and we are there for every observation in every school, debriefing, having those conversations. Our supervisory team and coordinator team at the division level, it is important for that communication to be streamlined, is also participating in that process so that we can be readily available in buildings at minimum of 4 out of 5 days next school year so that we can provide that instructional depth and support as well. We are again actively walking classrooms. We are in classrooms daily. On top of those visits that Dr. Majette has been doing, she has also been alongside us for almost 100 visits at this point into classrooms with the note-taking, and it has been a very refreshing and refining process for us. We are building a shared understanding of high-quality instructional materials and feedback. Time and time again, we can give folks stuff, but if we don't train on it and we don't check back in on people and we don't provide that equitable quality support, it means nothing to have it. It's just something to check on paper, and we want to be beyond that. We want observations to be meaningful, not to check a box. We want growth to be meaningful and purposeful to benefit all stakeholders in the community. There is increasing consistency and alignment across all middle school leadership. We were in a building today, and the testament to that was thank you so much for pouring into us. Thank you so much. And that is a strong testament to our superintendent for saying, we needed this, and we're going to go out here and we're going to walk alongside you. But thank you for this. We've grown tremendously at this point. It's important to know that we're expanding this work to the high schools as well. So we've started with our supervisory teams and the middle school team, and then some of our central office staff. That work is going to be extended to the high school level moving through the summer with instructional supervisors so that we can further strengthen that instructional leadership and support. Next slide, please. We are also participating in the Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant, or the CLSD, and that is that partnership with TNTP with all of our elementary schools. So you may look and say, okay, we're pouring a lot into those middle and high school folks. Nope, we're also pouring TNTP across the board. This is our 2nd year with TNTP, and we have a robust team that is serving. It's not 1 or 2 people coming. We like to call it our mini army that comes into our schools and provides that instructional support. So LCS, it says elementary and middle. Middle school will pick up their TNTP process this summer with that training, and they are strictly on observations at this point to provide that support alongside the work that we are already doing. We're receiving that additional literacy support. We know that it's an area of concern or need, and it's not a button or a program that we can implement to make it go away. I can assure you if there was, we would be on top of that, and I'm sure several other folks would be as well. But that funding is going to ensure that schools have those structures. We've talked a lot about structure and foundation, the tools, the capacity, and the resources to increase literacy growth and achievement for all students. Once we can increase that literacy growth, we can then start to impact other subject areas as well. We partner with division leadership to clarify those expectations for those high-quality instructional materials and strong planning and what should be made visible in classrooms. We're going to strengthen that instructional planning and structure, so teachers consistently internalize. Not the externalization process, but internalize the unit lessons with focus on building meaning from the text. Building the capacity of literacy coaches that are in each building at the elementary level, and we do have reading specialists at the middle school level as well to support teachers and students in preparing instruction that prioritizes text-based questions, tasks, and evidence-driven thinking, that higher level rigor. We're going to monitor progress and regularly debrief instructional evidence to refine guidance and support over the time. People are working hard to make sure that we're impacting every level. Next slide, please. So when we're talking about what these measures are and what it looks like, what is that assessment system, the instructional resources and testing? I spoke to the literacy plan, and there's a link here for you to refer back to it just as an easier find. Please know that that was implemented for K through 5. It was voted upon with the board and approved in 2024, and then we did the approval for K through 8, which was the requirement in 2025. Again, heavy focus on high-quality instructional materials for literacy. K through 5, benchmark advance, we're in our second year. We are still utilizing foundations because that is in our literacy plan and what we've committed to as a supplemental resource. And HMH into literature is what we have utilized for 6 through 8. And HMH is not new, but the update to HMH and the implementation process and training, that is new for our teachers. We just recently finished up within the last month of professional learning, again at the middle school level for that 6 through 8 group, and we received a huge thank you and said how impactful that training was and how thankful they were for that, and we're excited to move forward through the summer. Math, we started that training so that we're not waiting until the school year starts for this new curriculum. We started that training in March. Through the adoption, an overwhelming adoption of the K-5, we're transitioning from Go Math to KITM in 26-27, which is heavily utilized across and has been adopted across the Central Virginia region as well. 6 through 8 is going from that HMH math to math space for 26-27, and that will reach through Algebra 1. Please know that our science and social studies, again, we're waiting for VDOE to share the approved HQIM list. But we have, in the meantime, secured instructional materials and resources that are hard copies that we can physically put in front of staff to train on and that students can have. Next slide, please. So when we're talking about requirements for state tests, I know we talk a lot about students are testing, they're testing, they're testing. We have to adhere to those state regulations. VKRP is the pre-K and kindergarten math assessment. We are required by the state to administer that test. VALS used to be PALS. We are required by the state for pre-K through 3. Our VALS, well, it's actually through 8, but pre-K through 3, that is what we are required to do and give based on those reading plans. VALS goes through 8th grade. That is not where we started a year ago, so this is the first year of implementation for VALS through the 8th grade. Previously, it was through grade 5. LCS uses IXL. I hear a lot about IXL, but we use IXL in lieu. We took away fall and winter growth assessments that were required as a diagnostic tool. 92% of our principals and administrators supported the movement when we surveyed last year to move away from the fall and winter growth assessments. We had an overwhelming support to say, I no longer want to use this as the diagnostic tool, but instead we're going to use IXL. So that is why we currently use IXL for that as well. Our performance assessments that we have are in grades 3 for science and social studies, U.S. history 1 and 2. And then we have our SOLs, which again we are required, and we'll talk about participation rates here in just a little bit. But grades 3 through 8, there you see what SOL tests are being administered and given. In high school, when you see EOC, and it may be some middle school courses as well, EOC means at end of course, and that's what starts to count for those standard and verified credits across the board when we're talking about graduation requirements and meeting those 5 passed. Next slide, please. So I won't go through each one of these pieces with you. I won't read to you, but to let you know where our testing schedule is and how often we give those. Are there other assessments that are involved in the curriculum? Absolutely, and they are at the will of our educators to provide some of those as needed, but these are what we are required to give and the schedule. If you notice here, I want to specifically, we've talked about the 4 at the top, the 4 bullets at the top, but our aims is our benchmark testing. So it is what we provide, and please note that that's only given 2 times a year. We did reduce that to reduce the amount of testing for students, but still to provide a measurable benchmark across our division so we know where our students are. We've talked about performance assessments. Benchmark Advanced provides those weekly and unit assessments so that it is a data tracking tool for planning and PLC purposes and to guide instruction. Foundations, again, is written into our literacy plan as a supplemental material, and it has served as a gap for us in any Benchmark Advanced where it may not be there. Kindergarten teachers use the platform. This is often confused that ESGI is a testing. It is not. ESGI is a platform in which we use to measure and provide updates to our parents and for our students of where they fall. Notice that SOL testing has been moved to the last 2 weeks of school. We did have less than 180 days on our calendar this year, so it was wonderful to move it to the last 2 weeks of school, and we often get, kids are right at the end and we don't know what we're doing. We needed to maximize our time, and I'm thankful that we did that based on all this unfounded snow we got for a while, so I think we're all pretty thankful for that at this point. But please note that last 2 weeks of the school year, that was pushed down and from the state as a requirement, and that was not implemented fully. They came back late fall and said that it was an option to do it this year. We kept that last 2 weeks, and again, very purposeful in doing that, but moving forward, everyone will be in that last 2 weeks of their particular school year to do SOL testing. So that monitors there. As we're going through and talking about federal participation rates for the federal testing, it's based on how many kids are supposed to take the test, so what that number is, and how many kids actually sit for the test. So we're not talking about passing it, we're talking about you coming in, us monitoring, and you sit and take a test that you're supposed to for either the end of that school year or an end of course test. We do have to be above 95%, not a roundup, but at 95% or above to not fall under that participation rate. When it is not met, schools and divisions are required to create, implement, and follow a plan to ensure increases in the participation rate. Our current status at the elementary level is that we have one elementary school, and you see how close Perrymont Elementary is there, but they fell slightly below that 95%, so we will be creating a plan for them. This is their first year in that. So reading was at 94.7% for participation rate, and math was at 94.8% for elementary. Next slide, please. As we go into secondary, again, we have that VALS testing that was discussed for 6 through 8. We have IXL because that's the diagnostic assessment we chose for the state. We only 2 times a year have that AIMS or benchmark testing, and we do that in math, science, and listing those subject areas there. And then we have our HMH, and we do units 2 and 4 that are used for that AIMS assessment. So we tie it right into the curriculum and high-quality instructional materials that are being used. Those performance assessments that we're offering are U.S. History 2, which is our 6th grade history. SOL testing, again, is the last 2 weeks of school. Talking through the federal participation rate, again, 95% or above. The current status right now, Lincoln Middle has been identified in one subject area, which is science, at 94.8%. Yes, sir.
Who is responsible to ensure that these participation rates are above 95%? I'm just curious.
Our school administration and our testing coordinators within the building.
What about the parents?
Well,
is that what you're thinking?
My concern, looking at these numbers, 94.8, you can round it up to 95, just mathematically. 94.6, you can round it up to 95. But 89.9 cannot be rounded up to 95. And
nor
we
can
talk,
93 or 92.8.
my individual concern is we talk about achievement gap, that 10% students is a non-response bias in our, achievement gap we hear. So it brings down the average for every student who may have performed better than what we are seeing in the VDOE data. Is that correct interpretation to make?
Yes, sir, and as I go in and cover Heritage High School and where they are, you are correct. So that 94.8, we would typically say we could round up, they take that for the flat rate that it is, and we got confirmation on that. There is one subject area for Heritage High. They had previously been identified for more and got down to one subject area at 94.6, but we are concerned because EC Glass does have 3 subject areas identified, and that reading is at 89.9%. So that is an area of concern. Math sitting at 93%, which is an area of concern. especially when we look at testing scores overall and science being at 92.8%. And these are for students just not sitting for the test. So yes, that is a concern. To further quantify the importance of the participation rates, it's extremely important because when we fail to meet that, we have to do a corrective action plan, a plan for each area going through this. When we hit multi-years where we're not meeting participation rates, it can cause a plethora of adverse effects, and it goes anywhere from that persistent failure results in an MOU potentially, so that memorandum of understanding that we have to sign. It's compelling structural changes to improve participation and performance. So really, that's the state can come in and say, no longer does this work per your plan. We're going to provide that guidance and provide you what needs to change and occur. So it is important, really detrimental for us to, if we stay here and have repeated years of this, which is why it's the stress and importance. And we're actually walking through with each school right now, have met with the schools identified to go through and talk about those corrective action plans.
Last time when we had the joint city council school board meeting, reading was one of the concern topics mentioned by a couple of councilmen.
Yes.
So I'm hoping you'll communicate to the school administration that non-participation is concerning, and it's about more than 10%, 10.1%.
Yes, sir. I can assure you that that conversation has been had, and that is a concern. When we don't even sit for the test, we don't know where they are. And because the other importance to this for the reading, that EOC reading at the high school level, that is one of the 5 that is necessary for graduation requirements as well.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The participation part, so if the kids miss the test, they're not there or something, there's always a retake day.
Yes, ma'am.
So they're not even showing up for the retakes?
That's one of the areas that we're addressing for the review. There is a window of testing when we talk about 2 weeks, and then when we talk about retakes or fall testing, we have addressed those specific areas of concern. Because if we had, say we had a 15-day window, which we have for makeups in fall or winter, if a student is truly absent for 15 days, they would be dropped from our attendance. So there's a larger underlying issue of when that student is in the building, the importance and significance of having them come in and sit for that test.
Is there only one school that lacks in 3 subject areas?
Yes, sir.
Do we have data from like last year, the year before, that speaks to that?
Yes, sir. We're drilling down the data even further. In full transparency, this meeting for federal accountability was far later this year than it has ever been. I just wrapped up the federal participation meeting at noon on Friday, so they are also sending some more information, and that's part of what will go into the plan. So as we work through, I will bring that information back to say, this is how many years we're on, this is what plan we've submitted, and this is what they've accepted and approved. So that data will come back to you as well.
But you said Heritage High School had more subject areas
Yes,
and
they
had
did.
rolled it back to 1, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
you have that trajectory. What's the trajectory for EC Glass? What has been previous years?
It was not 3 previous, but we are collecting, again, I have only been here, I'm in my 3rd year, so we are collecting data back for the last 7 years at this point.
Okay, so we don't know what participation rates were for last year.
I know that we had multiple subject areas, not all 3, but we had multiple under 95%. And I know that some schools that were identified last year are no longer on that list per that corrective action plan.
All right, and next slide. All right, Dr. Davis, before I go on, and I apologize, I stepped out on you, did you mention the assessment task force that you were going to work on?
I did not. That was as I was going to close up this assessment piece, so I appreciate you for that. So our assessment task force, we actually have talked to our administration, and what will go out on Friday is a survey for participation for an assessment task force. As our educators throughout, and our administrators throughout the division are interested in participating on that task force, we're going to get together and actually evaluate what assessments are occurring, the frequency that they're occurring, how much time we're spending on assessments, and what assessments are being given outside of what we require as a division, so that we can ensure not only the consistency, but we can talk about the time that's being spent, because we're talking a lot about assessments, but being in almost 100 classrooms to date, we have noticed that some assessments are being given, and they may very well be necessary, but they may not be required on our end. So we want to make sure that we bring that information back as well of what is being given, what's being utilized, and is there data that supports that that assessment or quick check needs to be offered outside of what we're providing with the current assessment. So we actually will send that out in our leadership link and essentials on Friday this week for participation, and we will bring that information back as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
One question, Dr.
Yes.
Davis. Do you think your presentation answered a lot of the questions that people have been talking about, the testing and so on? This gives a comprehensive view and also showed the rationale behind why a lot of this testing is done. Because, you know, some people came in and had, you know, the testing was cumbersome and a lot of them. Does this sort of validate the cause for the testing and all that, you would say?
Yes, sir, I think so, and I think moreover, instead of it being in multiple presentations, because we started this information early on, it's in one spot for people to refer back to and look and see what is actually being required and what's required by the state, not that LCS is just choosing to offer some of these.
Since we're on the topic of testing, I did come with some questions regarding, I was gonna wait for the rest of the presentation, but since we're already here, can you speak to, you mentioned 2 tests that are required by the state, or, well, 3, I guess, including SOLs, right? So the rest of the testing is that mandated locally? Is that something that you guys have determined this is what we need to do in terms of our testing and our assessment at this point?
It's actually 4, if we're talking about the required, because remember that the IXL is the diagnostic that we have collectively as a school division decided. There's no decision that's made. We went for a long time with no assessment tool, so AIMS going in is the one that's been created as the benchmark, and that is 2 times a year, so we can get an adequate measure on growth and progress for our students, because remember, IXL doesn't cover outside of that math and our literacy or our English, and we had no high quality instructional materials prior to that, so a true measurement was not being gathered.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it was very encouraging to hear you say you're gonna build a task force. I think it's really important, because I go out, obviously I have a teacher in the house and several students in the house, and I go to the schools and I talk to teachers, and pretty consistent messaging that I get is around the amount of testing, the quantity of testing, and then not only that, but it's how some of it's what's the word? It's redundant, and so I'm really glad you're going to dig into some of that, because I think we have a lot of great teachers that have some great perspective to offer on that. I mean, especially I'm thinking the benchmark testing. I understand you have to have weekly assessments, but there's nobody I've ever talked to that loves those at all. Teachers, students, my son included, is constantly complaining about it. So I'm just curious as to like what justifications, because if obviously not only that, but when we're assessing, we're not instructing, right? So when you have a lot of instructional time being impeded by the amount of time you're spending on assessments, that's a concern. And it just seems like there's a whole lot of time being spent on testing right now. So again, just grateful that you're going to set up a task force. I would be very interested in hearing the results of that and what justification there is for the testing that we land on.
Absolutely. So if I may, assessment is instruction if it is utilized in the correct tools. So I think that's part of our leadership as well, and growing our leaders is understanding the purpose of assessment, not to take the test not for the score, but to guide the next level of instruction. So if the assessment is there and we built on that quality, then we're not reteaching or spiraling back. And so we have to determine why we're assessing. There always has to be a why, what, and a how in anything that we're building. So when we're talking about a universal structure, the importance and where we take ownership is explaining the importance of assessment and the investment in instruction, and understanding that the assessment is a part of the high quality instructional material. So how that's laid out, it's again, not because we want to assess, but even understanding the purpose of review. Why do we do the things that we do? And I think allowing us to go back in and say, Not do I not like assessment, but what story did that tell me? And then what do I need to spiral back to, because that's what's best for that child.
Certainly, yeah, and I think that it sounds like that's what you guys are trying
Absolutely.
to evaluate is, hey, what are we doing now and what's working, what's not, getting it from the trenches. 'Cause I think you get a message from teachers or that are saying, hey, we don't like the amount of testing or this particular kind of testing. Either they're not being consulted in the decision-making process, or they're not being equipped with the rationale for that, so that they can, forge ahead. And I think it's a very important conversation to have.
Absolutely.
Is it Mr. Poe have something?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
All right, go ahead. Okay.
Oh,
You had a question?
I did. I wanted to circle back around to the demographics, where we compared our student body versus the Lynchburg. But, so I have a question. Do we have staff demographics?
We can definitely pull that for you. That's a good perspective.
And the reason I bring that up, because, to me, they're just numbers, but, when we look at student body, and not just demographics of race, but, I think digging into other demographics can help when it comes to, educating and how we educate our student body. And understanding, because, the staff and maybe what needs that they may need to help with different backgrounds, culturally, socially, economics, and different things of that nature. So I'm just interested in being able to look at all that. So, as we plan strategically, we can address things in a smarter way, and not just, because, those are important, but I think there are different demographics and statistics that are probably a little bit more meaningful that would help us along the way.
No, I appreciate that, and you're absolutely correct. Everybody brings their own experiences, their own journey, and everybody has a story, and the more connections we can make with kids to best support them, absolutely. So we'll start digging into that, Mr. Poe. I didn't realize they switched the slide. I was like, what? I turned around, I was like, what happened? I apologize. All right, so thank you, Dr. Davis. Last two slides, everybody, but I just wanted to make sure, I think, and community engagement was one of those other foundational pieces. And I know that's been something that's been talked about quite a bit. There's strong interest from our community to come in and support our schools, and we recognize that. We also recognize we have to have a level of alignment as to how we do it and what we're doing. And so with that, I just put here, system, structured approach to align a community partnership with division priorities, working on that strategic plan, so we'll have that plan outlined for everyone. And process, how are we gathering input? How do we communicate what our needs are? And how do we coordinate supports with partners? Because there are a lot of people who partner with us. There are many more who want to partner with us, but we got to have a process to how we do it. So when I say the before, it felt like limited alignment between community efforts and division priorities. There were community members saying, hey, I want to come in and help. Hey, how do you want to help? Not really sure, but then not, and I'll be honest, coming in new and then even asking around, hey, what are some of the needs? And they varied. So just not having those structures in place for gathering that input and being able to coordinate that support. So one of the things that we have in progress right now is developing a clear structure so that we can align those partnerships with the strategic plan. We have our broad goals and objectives, so it gives us some work to do. We're working to plan that, but then how do we engage school leaders to identify needs? So we had the principals meeting last week. They're there with teachers. They're there with kids. What are the things that you see that you need? And some schools may say, you know what, I don't necessarily need tutors. I have 30 people willing to tutor every day, but I need some help with a beautification project. I need somebody to come and help plant some flowers. I need somebody to come and be a lunch buddy or a mentor to a student. I may need help doing a little painting, in my building. So we want them to sort of dig deep and even look at it seasonal. The beginning of the school year, what happens? Everybody gets a new pair of shoes, everybody gets a book bag or a few book bags. Well, growing child, that pair of shoes, by the time you get around to the spring, summer, they may have worn that pair of shoes out. Are there needs that our kids need in that realm before they go out for the summer? What are the things that they're seeing with kids and families so that we can do that? Our team is working on a partnership interest meeting on June 30th so that we can gather more input from them, but to also share. Here's, at that point, we'll have strategic plans, or here's our strategic plan. These are the results from the needs assessment that we're hearing from principals, and then really outline in terms of community partners, what would you like to provide? Is it just resources? Or are you saying, I would love to provide my services, in what way? We all have a level of expertise, but I think that gives us an opportunity to have stations and set up for people to sign up for what they feel like they like to contribute and they're good at contributing to the school division. So as I shift to this, I'm almost done. So again, we're not waiting on strategic plan to be finalized to begin the work. If so, we would have lost another year, and we can't do that. We're building that foundation, and I know I gave a lot of examples tonight, but I feel like I always know in my head, when I say systems and processes, what I mean. Unfortunately, this cabinet, executive cabinet knows what I mean, and the principals know what I mean when I'm saying it. But when I'm saying it in the community and board, I was like, Christy, you need to better explain that. And so I just want to be clear, because that foundation now is important, so when the strategic plan is done, it can actually be effective. And so that gives us an opportunity to be clear and consistent and aligned. I'll just close with this. If we expect different outcomes, and this is just what's been on my mind, if we expect different outcomes, something in our approach has to shift. We have to shift. We didn't get there overnight. We're not going to come out of this situation overnight. But we can't think that everything that's been exactly the same in terms of processes is going to carry us forward, because we have to move forward for our students. The shift is not in just what we do, but it's going to be in how we do the work. It requires structure, it's going to require consistency and accountability across the entire division. And so I'll just close with this thought. We cannot improve what we're unwilling to examine, and we cannot sustain what we failed to build with intention. We have to build these foundational structures intentionally, then we intentionally need to build the house. But we have to have the foundation first. And I've always said this to people, nothing changes if nothing changes. Simply put, I'm open for any questions, discussions. I know we've had questions along the way. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I got a few. Anyways, are we understanding that, so as of now, instructional coaches will be working in the summer on the curriculum needs that are to come up, or we're still staying just ahead of the teachers?
No, that was one of my last bullets there, that everything will be updated prior to the 26-27
Okay.
school year for effective planning.
All right, cool. And for the instructional focus, the T and TP for elementary, will there be a specific homework process? Because I know, was it 2 years ago or a year ago, on the Academic Success Committee, the video said you could or could not have homework. It was up to you, and we voted to keep it. So if we're saying that this is so important, this academic importance, a teacher only has a child for that period for reading or for math at a very limited amount of time, with lunch, recess, and everything else that goes on. Is there some kind of specific homework process that you guys are thinking about that says to the parents, this is what we're doing, and we need your help on this end with their homework, make sure this gets returned? I mean, I know that's a teacher-based thing, but is there anything coming down to the teachers to help the parents understand, especially like at registration, this homework piece is going to be very important. You need to make sure you see it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and it gets returned, kind of thing.
So can I speak to this, and then you can tag team? So I will say this. I think in terms of the homework piece, because I definitely don't want to look at it as something coming down to teachers. In a way, I think it needs to be something, and maybe that could be part of, I know Dr. Davis has been talking about, she didn't put that one out, but some grading task force and things like that, because our grading is inconsistent across the board. And then when you start thinking about homework, that's inconsistent across the board. But I think that's definitely something, because research is conflicting on homework, right? It is. Like, some say that it's absolutely necessary, and then there's research that says, So, but I think that that's definitely something that needs to come up from staff and where they would like to land on it. Because if not, I'd love to see the data to see that whether or not it's been effective for us or not. That I don't know. But I'd love to see, I guess, how many people are actually doing it, using the homework, and then what's the quality of the homework?
Well, and where I'm getting this from is because I was at Paul Monroe, and in first grade, we did require homework. And if it didn't come back, you got a new packet you did on Friday. We made it so important that the kids were getting help at home, not just at school, for the limited time for that particular subject area they were working on. And the kids that most consistently brought their homework back did better. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, along the same lines of what Dr. Majette just alluded to, there are several layers that need to be there. A, the consistency of a grading policy, so that ties right into that. So we have talked about the workforce, the task force, not workforce, task force for the grading policy, but understanding what that's going to be. Does it become a data tool to guide instruction, or does it become a participation? And am I going to be punished if I don't have that? And then what is that? Is it 10% for me, nothing for you, and 30% for Dr. Gupta? So the consistency, there are layers to just saying, do we provide it or not? And then the other area of that is the relationships. Because what you're speaking to, it's something you all did as a unit and a team. It was supported within your building, and you had great communication with families on the importance of it. That is what I would argue to say is what guided that push and instruction for that. So creating those core foundational components are very necessary in making that particular piece work. So really what we're doing by providing homework is providing additional resource. And what that looks like, that's what we have to provide guidance on.
Okay, yeah, because we didn't grade them on it. We needed them to practice. So
Right.
the only grade they got was because it's first grade, we didn't give grades. So we got to check if they just returned
Right.
it. And then we could see, as teachers, looking at that packet, what they're still confused on. That even the parents would say, hey, I don't understand how to help them. And then you're helping the parents.
Helping the parent.
Because one year I had a child teaching their parent how to read. So but I only found that out through homework. That's how I found that out. So that's why I asked that. Where will the principal's needs for the community, the things they want from the community input, where will that be placed so a community can go in, find it, and sign up? Have you ever thought like where that information would be once it's all settled?
Are you talking about once I do this needs assessment?
Yeah.
Once we do that, then we're gonna invite all of those people that want to partner with us. And it doesn't have to be a group or organization, it could.
Individuals.
Individuals, anyone that wants to partner, and then that way we can work with them to let them know, because we have people who are ready. They're ready,
Yes.
they're already in the schools, and we have many more that are ready to come in and to help. But getting that needs assessment, that's when we'll share it out at the June 30th meeting, and then we'll try to build it from there.
Well, and I just want to tell you, because I've already told you this once, I love the fact that the SOLs were moved to the last 2 weeks. Because I'm telling you, for K through 2, it's a nightmare to give the tests at the beginning of the month of May, and guess what? The rest is babysitting, and it's just chaos. So, because the kids know testing's over, so the fact that they can just keep working on their skills and then take at the end, thank you. That's fabulous, so thanks. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Mijay.
Thank you.
Next is school board member reports. Laurel, Mrs. Lowry.
They had this past Saturday at 2 o'clock was their first class reunion. So, and hopefully they'll have more. I was going to attend, but I had my grandchildren, so that did not work out the way I thought.
Gulf School, Mrs. Lowry.
And tomorrow is the CVGS symposium at the University of Lynchburg at 6:30. So if anybody would like to come out for that, that would be great. So I will also be one of the, not presenters, but, you know, I write and look, commenters. I can think of the word. But that's usually wonderful. The kids usually do a good job. And then they'll be going to nationals with the information.
Thank you. Academic success, again, Mrs.
And we have our meeting next week.
Thank you. STEM Academy, Mr. Poe.
Yeah, so we gave a thorough report last time, but just as a reminder for the current dates, the STEM internship presentations will be on April 29th. And then the commencement will be on May 9th. And the senior dinner and awards will be on May 12th.
Thank you. You can uphold Mr. Barron and Mr. Poe.
Yeah, I did not get any new updates, but I do want to reemphasize, we said last time, one of their big things coming is their summer internship program. All applications are in, and they're actually doing interviews through this month. But that's a really, I always like to highlight, like you talked about, Dr. Majid, the good things happening within the district. And so I think it's really, really a special program. They'll have over 80 LCS students that will get a paid exploratory internship over the month of June. So that's exciting.
Thank you. Finance and Facilities, Mr. Conner.
We have 3 items on the consent agenda today. If want to go back and check and see what we covered at our last meeting.
Thank you. LACR, Mr. Jalil, he's not here. Any other member of the LACR? No.
I could pull up his notes and read what he wanted to say, but
Please, you,
he might want to do it himself.
okay, thank you. Partners in Education, Mr. Eileen and Dr. Farmer.
No report today.
Thank you. Ed Foundation, Mr. DePaul and Mr. Jalil.
No new information.
Thank you. Student Discipline Committee, Mr. Conner.
No new information except we continue to face issues with THC vaping in our schools, and we're doing collective efforts to try to stem that issue.
And I just want public to know, the 3 members, Mr. Barron, Mr. Poe, and Mr. Conner, have been doing 4 to 5 hour shifts at a time.
Yeah.
Last time he was there, you guys were there till 10 p.m.
Yep, from 3:30
10 p.m.
to 10 p.m.
So that's, I think this community appreciates and this board appreciates what you guys are doing. Thank you very much for doing that. That's unpaid, but it's worthwhile. Thank you. Next is Superintendent comments, Dr. Midget.
I've shared everything I needed to say.
Thank you. And next is board comment. I'll start with Mr. Poe.
So there's one thing that I see that I would say is consistency, is consistent with every champion or every extremely successful person or business or any type of success. And that seems to be a high work ethic and the ability to do all the things that may be boring or, when no one's looking. And, listening to things and knowing where the division rests at currently, it's a lot of work. I've had, community members say things like, I wouldn't want to be on the school board right now, because a lot of the things that were already going on coming into this position and as things unfold. But it takes special people to have to combat special times and persevere. And I would not have, signed up for this position and seek an appointment if I didn't think that I was that type of person. There's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of, had someone say to me, that that's just a title. Not realizing the behind the scenes work you just mentioned about standing here from 3:30 to 10. And when we speak to the students that come before us, we're not just, issuing out time out of school. We literally talk to them, talk to their families, try to give them advice about changing and how important education is and all these different things. And even in our, and I can speak for myself, having 4 children in the school division, I would be, it wouldn't even make sense to not care, because I have one of my children that is at EC Glass. And so speaking to, different leadership, I have faith in all of our leadership, and I thank all of our leadership. And some of our leadership I've been knowing since my student was in elementary school at Darrington. And, as a board member, I wish nothing but the best for all of our administrators and our school board. And I think every person that gets up and goes to work and comes to what's a tough job is, you know, we all know that teaching is not something that a lot of people are going into because that's not where the money is and different things. So I think it takes a lot. So I just ask the community to please be patient and be respectful and do the boring things like stand for the board meetings to actually hear what's going on and not just showing up for public comment. No disrespect to anyone, but the room is a lot more empty than what it once was. And I think that these are the important things, going over the strategic things that it's going to take to move us forward. Sorry for being long-winded, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
After hearing everything I've heard tonight, I just want to say that I'm very proud of Dr. Majette. I'm very proud that you're here, and I have the most faith, the most positive view of Lynchburg City Schools that I've ever had before. And with the people that you have at your side, that you've picked, you've chosen, you're working hard, all the great things that you mentioned tonight, the promise for the people in this community is tremendous. And I'm proud to say that I was there to ensure that you got this position. I haven't regretted it 1 second, and I just want to say how proud I am of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connor.
I just want to say, and kind of on top of what Mr. Poe said, I thank the community for coming out tonight, especially when they feel passionate about anything involving Lynchburg City Schools. It's great for them to come out, but it would be nice if many of them could have stayed to learn more information about what is going on. I understand there's things that happen from time to time which create a great deal of passion, a great deal of emotions, and but that's not everything. I hope that they got a chance to voice their opinion, and I hope that they will find out that, you know, there's only so much transparency we can give in that situation. We are limited by ethics and law. And there is one person that can give them the answer that they're looking for, and that's the person that they should be talking to. And I hope that they get that, you know, and go to that individual and get the specific information that they desire, because we're limited ethically and legally to what we can say. I understand the frustration, I understand the emotion, but, you know, as a board, we're limited. Many things that we do take place in closed session. We talk about our discipline committee. We can't talk about specific children. We can't talk about anything that takes place because that's a closed session issue, and privacy rights are covered in those issues. And there's some privacy rights and different things involved in that. But I do thank them. It was nice to see a passionate public come out and get the opportunity to speak their mind. And I thank them for that.
Thank you. Mrs. Lowry?
This year, I have enjoyed visiting the schools and reading to classes, and as SOLs begin, I will be around less, just so you know. I know what that month is like. I look forward to proctoring and monitoring at elementary and middle in May, and I thank our principals, teachers, aides, parents, and community partners that have clubs and stuff after school for kids. I'm cheering you all on, the children, to be able to show their good learning scores after May testing is over. So hopefully that's what that will show. I also want to, being on the Academic Success Committee, want to thank Majette and her administration and staff for all the hard work they've put in, the time they've put in, for the weekends, the extra work answering all our questions and emails, and so your patience is much appreciated. And so thank everybody and all the hard work you guys put in and the quick responses when things need to be fixed. And so you guys, I think you're a great team. After this is my 3rd year, and I did put into I put my application into again to be on the school board, but I feel like this is such a good direction we're going in. I'm excited about it, and I'm looking forward to great things if I'm on it again in the next 3 years to be able to celebrate the accomplishments. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Thank you. Mr. Riley?
As always, I want to thank Dr. Majette for the great work that she's doing along with her team. I know we've said this many times, and just listening to the whole discussion again today, you know, as far as the school system is concerned, I see we have a lot of good infrastructure, a lot of programs, a lot of things that are positive. And I'm trusting that we'll be able to execute on those things. And once we're able to execute, hopefully we'll calm down some of the concerns of the community. And as far as some of the discussion tonight here, I guess it comes with being on the territory. We are board members, and a lot of that stuff sometimes have been, you know, thrown at us. And I wonder if we could find a way to delineate maybe the responsibility of the board as opposed to the, you know, executive body or whatever, the superintendent's job, so that, and if we can't, then we're okay. But a lot of it is thrown at the board as to say we have the power to make decisions that we're not able to make in terms of personal decisions. But I'm okay if we can live with that. We are part of this area. But some of them apparently do not have the concept as to how this body functions. And so, you know, the information comes in as if the board has the full authority to be able to reveal or conceal information. So I don't know if there's a way that we can parse that to get them to understand that we have different roles in terms of how we function.
Thank you. Mr. Bannon?
Yeah, I'll speak to that very quickly. You can actually go to LCS website, click on school board. On the right-hand side, there's a roles and responsibilities tab, and it has everything outlined, what the school board does, what it doesn't do, what the superintendent does, what she doesn't do. So
Yeah, but they don't know that.
I'm telling everybody now. Guys, that is important information. I think it would be helpful. I like the analogy of laying a foundation. Have you ever been around construction projects, or you just know somebody that's built a house or built a building? They'll say they're going to build something, and then for the next several weeks, maybe even months, you don't see anything happening. And you're like, I thought you were building a house. And what they're doing is all the preparations to lay the foundation. So she mentioned, you know, that it's a critical thing. We all understand the importance of a good foundation. And she already spoke to how it's sort of undetectable and you don't see it. But I would also add to that it takes a lot longer time. When you see all of a sudden the framing go up and the roof and all that stuff, that happens so fast. And that's the exciting part, because now it looks like a house. But if you didn't take the time that it takes to lay the foundation, if you speed through that process, you see it a lot in big or residential projects where they skimp on the foundation processes and you end up with these cracks in the wall and everything on brand new houses. So I just want to speak to that analogy. I think it's a very fitting analogy. And so I would ask for patience from the community, as it does take time to do this. And I'm going to veer from my 3 T's tonight. Y'all can save your sigh of relief, but I am going to highlight something. I want to continue to highlight things that are going well within our district. I got the chance to go visit Project Search today. And if you haven't done that, you need to do it. Wow, what an incredible program. It offers vocational training and all supports financial literacy, personal values, et cetera, to individuals with disabilities. And the thing that struck me, because we have a lot of conversation about the community coming around, and obviously we're working on systems and processes discussed tonight to allow that to happen more efficiently. But we talk about community involvement. This program has really figured it out. They have such buy-in from all kinds of community stakeholders. They have multiple governing entities, including LCS and Centra, streamlined systems and processes, and they have results. And so just as sort of a microcosm of somebody or a part of LCS that's really figured this thing out, I highly recommend you go check out what they're doing over there. And the reality is we should be able to do this for all our students. We should be able to offer that sort of thing for all of our students. And I think that's what we're trying to get to, but it takes time. So I just ask for people to continue to give patience, and we'll get there. We will.
Thank you. I have few lines to say. Normally I don't do board comments, but you know, we may have disagreement on issues, but that should not escalate to disrespect. Respecting each other in a disagreement is very important, and it reflects a sense of maturity in those individuals who disagree. So please, we are role model for our kids, and the policies and rules are set. And think of yourself as a teacher. When the teacher tells you you have to be quiet, you follow those rules. When Mr. Connor tells you not to clap, and you're clapping and clapping and clapping, you say, I don't care. You don't care. What reflection are you giving to the kids who are watching this on TV tomorrow? We got to be role model, and at least on the discipline issues, on the policies. And that's, you can see the discipline committee seeing an escalation of discipline cases week by week, right? 10 to 12 cases each week. That's pretty significant. Now, coming back to, there are two other principals who resigned. To me, they are equally important. They're leaving the school district.
One's retired.
One is retiring, the other is resigning, and they have given their life, and they're close to my heart too, but I have not said that, but I'm going to say that. Ms. Polly's from Hutcherson is leaving us, and Ms. Foster from Perrymont is leaving us, and nobody mentioned their name. And are they less than everybody else? No, they're equally important. They have given their lives to the Lynchburg City Schools and our kids, and they're still doing it. And so I just want to acknowledge those two, that this board, at least for me, respect and honor their service to our students, and will always be cherished for the, Ms. Hutcherson, she's been there for 30 plus years.
Over 30 years.
Yes, so her love, and I always tell her every time I go to Hutcherson, I said, anytime I'm surrounded by negativity, I'm coming to your school. And you can ask her, that's my thing, she's a pillar of positivity. And so, Ms. Polly, we appreciate everything you have done, and good luck to your future retirement years. So that's all I had. Thank you very much. Next is informational item, Discipline Data Review Committee, April 23rd at 3:30. Academic Success, April 29th at 3:30. Discipline Data Review Committee, April 30th at 3:30. School Board Work Session, May 5th at 5 p.m. Discipline Data Review Committee on May 7th at 3:30. I'm smiling because I'm looking at him. He's showing up every week, and the other two with him. Finance and Facilities, Tuesday, May 12th at 3:30. LACR on May 19th at 3:30. And the school board meeting on May 19th at 5 p.m. With nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.